Hello and welcome. For today's interview, we have Eden's Snapdragons, and we're going to be talking to Isodak and Major. Isodak is the top laner, Major is the AD carry. Along with them, there is Singular Bread as the jungler, Killbot in the mid lane, Sad Lantern as the support, and then as subs they have the Engineer and Tiesto. Would you two like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Isodak, top laner, as you said.
I'm Major. I'm AD carry this split, previously mid laner.
Alright, and role swapped. Okay, so, uh, first things first, what are your expectations for your team this split?
I would say better than last split. anything step in the right direction is a good thing. Hard to tell. I don't personally know a lot of the players in the league. It's only our second split in Conqueror. But I think we definitely can do better than we've shown so far. So, optimistic about the future.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with that. I think we have a good chance to make playoffs this split. Last split, we were in the hardest group, and I think we held up fairly well, taking most teams to 3 games. And I think it's a bit of an easier group this time, so hopefully we can make it out.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying Group A is the group of life. So I very well could be in a much better position than last split.
True.
Alright, and to start the split, just from, like, projections, which can be wrong all the time, I have you guys ranked pretty low. I don't know if you got to see that yet, but do you think that's fair coming in, or do you think that, no, we should be a little higher?
Had a chuckle over that. I think there were like 3 different power rankings that had us at the bottom or very near to it, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I mean, I can understand how, like, looking at ranks and stuff, that would be sort of a logical conclusion. The things that, and if you don't know our players and our history, like, I think one of our biggest strengths is we've had a pretty consistent roster for going on 2 years now. So, like, mostly the core, like, 4 of us have been playing together. So we have a lot of practice and familiarity with that. So I think we definitely are poised to do better than we look on paper.
Yeah, I agree with Iso there. I think we are probably a bit underrated at the moment, mostly because of solo queue rankings. But we've been together a while. We have pretty good synergy, and I think that can make up for that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely right. I mean, as long as you guys show that kind of consistency that teams have when they've played together, I think that you guys will go up at least into that middle tier pretty quickly. But something that kept you a bit lower is your first week did end up being a loss. You took a game, but it did end up being a loss, and I want to ask you, what did you think of your opponents in that first series?
Honestly, oh no, I couldn't hear you.
Go for it. My mic's acting
Okay.
up.
I thought they were very good individual players. It felt like their coordination was a bit lacking, but like their laning phases were very good, and I think we had some very good macro in game 1 against them. And then game 2, they kind of got ahead in lanes, and it was a bit too much to overcome. And then game 3, I think we were in a good position. Game 3, like, we had leads where we wanted it and just couldn't quite finish it out. But I think it was a very good series, and I think they're a pretty good team.
Yeah, I didn't know if I should have rated you guys higher or them lower from the initial standings, but I think that with more weeks we're gonna really see that. Did your mic ever get fixed?
Yeah, I'm good now, but that's that's basically what I was gonna say. I think there was, I can't remember which game it was. I think they had some pretty good counter picks that were pretty hard to overcome in lane. So
Yeah, I think that's game 2. Yeah.
so yeah, they played it really well. But I think we showed some good stuff in it.
Perfect. I mean, I think you did. I mean, the fact that, coming in, they were probably a top 3 team in the group, and you guys definitely didn't roll over, so I would say you definitely showed some good stuff. Speaking of top 3 in the group, potentially, what do you think of the group as a whole that you guys are in? Mike again? No worries.
I think I agree with the community on it. It is a bit of a weaker group overall. But I think it probably could be still interesting because everyone should be about the same skill level. I don't think there's I think that's a more interesting group than having like 3 insane teams and that are just going to run away with it,
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, for sure. It should get pretty scrappy. But I tend not to look too far ahead of the next week's match, so sadly I don't know the other teams very well or the rosters or anything. So
Speaking
I
of,
only know a few other people in the league as a whole.
I mean, there's 24 teams. A lot of them seem new to me, so I definitely don't expect anyone to know even most of these teams at the moment. Right. But speaking of looking at the next week's match and not ahead, have you guys started to look at your next opponents, who I believe are Fantastic Academy Dreamcatchers? Is that right?
I believe
yes,
that's
it is.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you guys looked ahead to them yet? Or are you waiting for like Monday, Tuesday-ish?
Not as much as usual. I've been out of town, and usually I handle a lot of the early scouting stuff, so a bit behind this week, but we'll start looking into them more soon.
Yeah, same here.
Great.
We got a Camille enjoyer. That's nice to see.
Anything else? Have you thought about them at all in terms of, I don't know, the roster yet, or have you been kind of busy? I mean, you've been out of town, so I completely understand if you haven't.
Yeah, I really haven't, and there's no one on the roster that I know, so I don't really. There's no one I can really talk about on it, just because I don't know them and haven't had a chance to look into it yet.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
Same here, unfortunately.
All right, so I'm curious. I know that you both played in Conqueror. Was it last split?
Yeah.
Yep.
What else does your kind of like background in comp look like?
Well, as ISO was saying earlier, we've been together as a team for probably about 2 years now, playing in Divinity before that. Which most splits we were a playoff team. I think there was a few that we made deep runs, and there's one that I think we had a really good chance of winning, and then we got knocked out week 1 because 2 players weren't there for it.
Oh.
So we had both me and Technics were missing for that one, so it was a bit unfortunate because I think that was our strongest split. I think we were undefeated going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. Either undefeated or maybe 1 loss.
Yeah, so it was unfortunate, but other than that, we've been pretty consistently in playoffs. I think last split was the first time we'd missed as a team.
Yep, and going a little further back even. So we the first time we played against each other, I had formed a team called Big Damage Energy in Divinity, like a year prior to, so like, well, maybe 2 years. So maybe going back like 3 or 4 years, and we played a couple splits in Divinity as well. And so we met Eden's Serpents at the time, right? In the finals in Divinity, and played a really close 3-2 final. So it was a real banger. And then BDE kind of grew after that. We had 2 different teams for the next Divinity split, and then it just collapsed, and everybody had life stuff and couldn't play anymore. So So I joined the enemy after that.
Yeah, we actually have a few people from that finals on the team,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Killbot was on there too.
and Lantern.
Or Killbot was a sub, I believe, that split.
Oh, Lantern and Tiesto. Wow, yeah, we have a lot from that.
Yep.
You guys have some deep lore.
That's right. Just basically just merged the top two teams from. Granted, I think it was kind of a, of the splits we played, that might have been like a less competitive split, or like set of too many teams. I think it was smaller. There weren't as many teams, so it was definitely the one before that was harder. But took the two best teams at the time and smushed them together.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fun. I think that it's kind of underrated when people stick together like that. So you guys having that like 2 years together, I think it'll serve you pretty well. And you're in the group of life. I think that it's all set up for you guys to make playoffs. I mean, you have to show it on Wednesdays, but I think it's there. Now, with that said, you guys have played together for 2 years, so maybe you don't need to practice as much, but I'm curious, how often do you practice as a team?
We've been scrimming pretty consistently, once, sometimes twice a week. Well, usually like, maybe scrim and practice twice a week, before the split starts, and then once a week during the split. So,
Mm-hmm.
And then informally whenever we get a chance outside of that, duos and trios.
All right, fantastic. And I have to assume that I already know the answer to this, but how does the team dynamic feel? I'm going to assume it's pretty comfortable.
You want to take that, Major, to start?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah. It always. I mean, it's. Yeah, I would just say it feels pretty comfortable. Everyone gets along, and I mean, you can see that from how long we've been together. And honestly, even we've swapped junglers a few times in the past, but it's always been for like IRL stuff coming up. Not really much tension. I mean, most of the former junglers we've had have ended up as subs on the roster for a while too. So
Right.
yeah, it's I don't know. It's a pretty close knit environment, I'd say.
And biggest adjustment right now is just having Brett as the new jungler on the roster. So Wiley, or then Junior, was jungler last split, right? Or was that 2 ago?
That was last split. Yeah,
last split. And he was also from the Big Damage Energy roster way back. He was our starting support at the time, up until right before the playoffs when he ranked out. So yet another connection back to that. But yeah, we well with him, adjusted quickly and played well with him, and I think we'll do the same with Brad.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, wow, just as you said, more and more connections. You guys have really been tight-knit. I think that's really cool to see, and it's pretty rare, I would say. I'm sure you guys have seen over the past 2 years, pretty much every team kind of has a full reset from split to split, or at least a partial one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like it's not many teams stick together for very long. But it's fun. I mean, we do have a bit of a change up this time as me and Killbot switched roles, but it's kind of going back to our natural roles because he was a mid laner prior to this team and I was an ADC prior to this team. So
Interesting.
just kind of realigning.
So, did your time in mid lane give you any benefits going back to the AD carry role?
A bit more mages maybe, but I don't know. I was kind of just making it up as I went in mid lane. I didn't really know how to play mid lane. The whole time, everyone, even like in Divinity, like the whole community was kind of joking that I was just a AD carry pretending to be a mid laner because I was playing like Zeri, Trist, Ezreal, Illusion. Like I would just pick ADCs constantly in the mid lane.
I was thinking you'd have more mages to bring back, but instead you just brought AD carries up with you.
No, I just brought all the AD carries mid. So it's kind of about time that we made the switch back.
And we did a bunch of lane swaps, excuse me, I guess that was not last split, but the one before, right?
No, that was last split. Yeah, we started doing like bringing the support up and playing with me. It's just so it ended up being like me and the support playing mid with me on an 80 carry, and then Killbot playing a mage bot alone. And it was like, okay, wait, at this point, what are we doing? We were winning those games, but
But the first time we did it, we checked the rules to make sure it was legit, and like as soon as we did it, like the other team
we
paused
paused right away, and we're like, no, we cleared it. It's all good.
Go check the rules, check the sems.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was
Like
fun.
you're literally just playing bot lane and mid lane.
Yeah, it was, and then sure enough, MSI rolls around and everyone's doing the lane swaps with top lane, and we're sitting there like, oh wait, we could have been. This was actually we weren't doing it in the right role, but
That really reminds me. This is like really deep lore for League of Legends. Do you guys know about like really early comp, like professional?
Oh yeah, I've been
A little bit, yeah.
I've been following the scene since like probably 2013 or so.
So do you know about the Dignitas strat that was leaked before? I think it was Worlds.
Yes.
That's pretty much what you guys were doing, no?
That's in a way.
The bot
In a
laner,
way.
the AD carry just stayed bot on something with range, and then the support went mid lane. That was their
That's
strat,
basically-
like that they wanted to bring into what, season 1 or 2 of Worlds, something like
I
that.
think it was 2.
It was definitely like way deep, far
Yeah.
back there.
Yeah, that's kind of what we ended up doing for a while, but
That's kind of funny.
then after the split, we ended up deciding, all right, let's just make the change official. And
We're already
was funny 'cause
doing these lanes. Might as
both
well
me and
actually
Killbot
do
were
them.
thinking at the same time and messaged each other like, hey, do you wanna just swap?
That is funny, and I think it does, like, especially if this is back to your normal roles. I think the added versatility can come into play at some points. Although it sounds like there still might have been just a lot of mages bot lane and AD carries mid. There's still probably some games where you got some different experiences out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
The classic panic pick echo.
It never worked.
Yep.
Okay, so we
But
shouldn't
yeah, I mean-
expect AD carry echo, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly. If there's
Don't-
ever 1
don't-
second left and I haven't picked anything yet, it's
Don't believe the memes though. He actually really played well mid, even on like standard mid champs. Wasn't necessarily like gapping everybody all the time, but was usually grinding out good leads and good pressure into objectives. So it's good.
Yeah, sounds like you did more than you're letting on. But
I like
yeah,
to play
that's
into the memes.
that's really funny. I like when people can kind of like be like just together to the point where you guys are on the same page. I'm sure you were both thinking at the same time, why are we not in our different lanes? So,
Yeah, we definitely were.
yeah, now, is there any teams out there that have kind of piqued your interest? Like, oh, that's an interesting team, or I'd like to play them? Anything like that so far?
Probably as I've mentioned a couple of the power rankings. Like any team that Technics is on is going to be interesting. We played with him in the past, so it is always good to face an old friend and rival. Even if we're not
Completely fair.
necessarily on like equal power footing with him right now, good to give it a shot.
Hey, that Bing Chillers roster lost 0-2 first week. They could be joining you if they keep that up.
Man,
Yeah, I definitely would look forward to playing them again, or Technics and Rendleman, that is. Just some 80 carries I've been excited to play again, like Arknights and Dilly. Haven't seen them in a while since I've been off roll.
Oh yeah, your return. Now you can play those players again.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to lane against them in a while, so it'll be interesting.
All right. I'm not sure how much you guys are keeping up with all the teams, but do you guys have like 4 teams that you think would be currently the best? or just a best one team. I'm down for anything if you guys have actually looked at it. If you haven't, it's completely fine.
Haven't looked at it much, so we'll just say Eden Snapdragons 1 through 4.
Oh, perfect, perfect.
You know what? Let's go with that. Sure.
You know, I am just looking at this now, and I know that this is new. Have you seen that you are going to be the streamed match this coming week?
I just saw that when I pulled it up to start looking at the rosters and everything. So that's
When I was doing prep for this, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, that seems to just have come up. So
I don't think they streamed our matches at all last split. There were a lot of teams, obviously, so
yeah,
that'll be cool.
But it'll
Not
be
every
exciting.
team's gonna get it this split either, just because 24 is a lot. But you guys get it, week 2.
All right, hashtag ADC Echo in the chat, everybody.
Oh no.
Oh goodness, I will be watching it, and if there is a panic pick echo, I think I know what's gonna happen from this conversation.
Go on top.
Oh goodness.
Curveball.
Yeah, I mean, any thoughts on being streamed? Do you guys typically function the same? Some people, I mean, I've noticed some people definitely play worse. Some people feel like fired up by it. You guys have a lot of experience together, so I'm assuming that it's not going to be that big of a deal, but what do you think? Is that going to be pretty normal?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I don't think it'll really affect how we play very much. The last time we were streamed, we would have been like, you know, a stronger team in the league we were playing in. So, you know, not a big deal.
I think it's always fun to be on stream, but I don't really feel any pressure on it. It's just fun to watch back later and see what the casters were saying and what was going on in chat and all of that. So
it is fun.
Usually end up watching it back from, but
get flamed by chat versus get flamed by power rankings. You know, it's all the same.
That's fair. Oh goodness. All right. So that's a really cool thing that I'm happy we got to see before we end the interview. But before we do that even, I have one more thing for you. I want you guys to say anything you want, be it maybe a question you think I missed that you think would be interesting to bring up, a shout out, or maybe a message to the league, anything at all. This is your chance to kind of get your last word in.
All right. Well, just thanks to thanks to League, to the admins, all the people that run it and dedicate their time to it. Appreciate you guys setting all this up. It's been a lot of fun year after year. Thanks to all the other teams for the great competition and the fun experience, and all our players and the guys who've been with us. The eternal sub, Steve Barron, Wiley, all the guys we played with in the past. It's been great.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks to all of them, and thank you for having us on. I don't think we have any comments for the rest of the league or anything.
I think that's great. I think that means a lot because they put a lot of work in for sure.
Everybody else is trash. Eden number 1.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming out. This was great. I really got to learn more about you guys, and I really appreciate that. And I will be watching on Wednesday, so good luck, and I hope it's going to be a good series there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone else, thank you for watching, and enjoy your night.